Here at In View TV, we wish to pay our respects and acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, in my case, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. Welcome to a special show of At Home here on In View TV. I'm William Broome in Sydney.
And paying respects to the traditional owners of the land in the Yugambeh region, I'm Belinda Joe on the Gold Coast. How are you today, William?
I'm very good, and I'm looking really forward to this evening's show. I think it's going to be a very powerful and poignant one, and an issue and subject that we really need to explore more. How are you?
100%. I'm very well. I'm very honoured that we have the chance to speak about this relevant issue today.
Well, on tonight's show, we're looking at a fascinating documentary film that had been made with the support of Screen West and also NITV. It's called Our Law, and it tells the story of the first Indigenous-run police station in Western Australia. In just a moment, we'll be interviewing Senior Constable Wendy Kelly and producer Taryne Laffar. But first, let's take a look at the trailer for Our Law.
Warrakirna is the only police station run by Indigenous officers. Has she been to the clinic? All right, she needs to go to the clinic and get checked out, and they can do a report for us too. I don't think you can police effectively if at least you don't try to learn languages where you are. So Jilku is child. So Jilku Nintila is give me the child.
But we don't take any children. Not today.
We got a call saying that there'd been a fellow that had come off his motorbike about 20 odd k's down the road.
Warrakirna Fish, Revis speaking. She had a young mum go to the school and she's left her little child there and walked off. She might be walking around the community somewhere.
She had that blue t-shirt on, isn't it?
Yeah, and grey track pants. Oh, what are we going to do with this baby?
Aches and pains.
Aches and pains, and that's what it's for.
In language, what is this called?
Yirmanga, Yirmanga.
Yirmanga, Yirmanga.
You wow.
I need to learn the culture, learn the respect, learn the language.
So, by learning your ways and you coming out here and learning my way,
yes.
It's like we learning two ways together.
Yes, together.
That's the trailer for Our Law, which is being screened and made with the support of NITV and Screen West. It's being shown at the Sydney Film Festival, which is on from the 10th of June to the 21st of June, and also on Carla Grant Presents on NITV on the 22nd of June at 8:30 p.m. We're very honoured tonight to have two people from the documentary, Senior Constable Wendy Kelly, who's one of the stars, and also the producer, Taryne Laffar. Welcome to the show. Welcome to At Home on InView TV. Great to have you.
Welcome,
Thank
ladies.
you.
Thank you very much.
How does it feel to have your documentary not only screened online as part of the Sydney Film Festival, but also on NITV? Taryne.
Yes, hello. Well, of course, it's a privilege to get a platform with the Sydney Film Festival, highly respected a festival around Australia with international leanings. So really privileged, really proud. So we're up for Best Documentary. So a big coup for my cousin and writer director Cornell Ozies. And we knew that we were getting the broadcast on NITV before we even went out filming. So very excited to share this with Australia and to get more people hopefully engaging in NITV.
Wendy, how does it feel? It's quite an achievement. Can you hear us, Wendy?
Wendy?
I don't think Wendy can hear us. Belinda?
It's just
you've got it.
incredible. It's absolutely incredible where this has gone. Yeah.
Well,
Can you hear me?
congratulations. We can hear you perfectly. Congratulations. We can't wait to see the film. Belinda?
Yes,
hear
I
you.
wanted to. I think there's a little bit of a delay here, but that's okay. We'll carry on, and we'll forge ahead, knowing that there's a bit of a delay. Taryne, I wanted to know, for everyone watching at home, what is essentially the film about? How did it come about, and where do you see the film going?
Okay, so in a nutshell, where Our Law is revealing the wonderful work of Senior Sergeant Revis Ryder and Senior Constable Wendy Kelly, who until recently they have been running the first Indigenous run police station in the country. And I actually heard about the project through my co-producer, Mr. Sam Bodie-Field, and he had made another documentary about one of the most multicultural police stations in WA. So he had a bit of intel and he was doing research, so he'd heard about this police station. I bumped into Sam in Melbourne, as you do, on the other side of the country. And he said to me, Taryne, haven't seen you for ages. Have you heard about Warracoona, first Indigenous run police station? And then he went to say the next bit, and I said, I'm in, let's do it, let's work together. So it pretty much went from there. And then, yeah, we went straight into development within a couple of weeks. What was the end of the question?
Where do you see the film going? What would you like this film to do?
I very much hope that mainstream Australia sees this film, understands that it's a different approach or something different that they may have seen before, and to hopefully influence influence other states and territories to maybe look at this as a template for how they might want to do business. But really, we want to share what's happened in Warracoona and that wonderful community, and they're letting us come there and film on their country. But we want people to know that there are people working towards solutions. You know, we have a complicated history between Aboriginal people and police, and this is a great example of a better way of working with Aboriginal people on country.
Wendy, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Just to put into context, Warracoona is a town of about 300 people, 330 kilometres west of Uluru, and about 90 k's west of the Northern Territory border. You're originally from Perth. How different is policing in Warracoona, say, compared to Perth?
pretty much anywhere you go in the country areas, it is different. But where Revis and I are, it's because we're more, well, because we're Indigenous, there's the only two of us in that district, in that little area. We've got two other communities that we look after as well. So for us, we've got to work together. We talk about if there's a situation that comes up, we talk about what we're going to do, what the outcome could be. We discuss things. I think if you're in a bigger station, you don't really get to do that. Talk about the options that are going to be ahead for whatever situation it is.
And Wendy, how important was it, or how important is it to have the community engaged in a project like this, having an Indigenous police force, and having the community support that?
I think it's vital that the community get on board with these sort of things, because it's their community. You know, we were all just visiting, really. So to have them say, yes, let's do this, it was just amazing, absolutely amazing. It's also, it was good for policing as well, where we engaged with the community all the time. That meant that if there was ever a situation that got quite large, we had the backing of the community behind us, where they would help us out in situations, especially some of the older people. They were there right next to us, trying to help with situations, pretty much, within the communities, if we were like having to deal with large out of control gatherings, that sort of thing.
Now, Wendy, when you were approached to be in the documentary Our Law, how hard was it for you to be convinced to take part?
Look, it wasn't hard at all, because I thought, finally, there's somebody out there that just wants to do this documentary, to say, not look at us, but it's like, this can be done. There's no, I think our commissioner has done very well with having us out there, and seeing the benefits of a community where our crime dropped. A lot of the domestic violence had ceased, not all of it, but a whole lot of it. And also too, it's just that, you know, I was just so proud to have been asked, and for us to be able to showcase to not only nationally, I'm hoping internationally as well, what can be done and what can be achieved out in these communities.
Wendy, you were at present when Commissioner Chris Dawson made an apology for the treatment of our Indigenous peoples. You were standing only a few feet away from him. How did it feel at that moment?
I ended up telling him he didn't have to do that, but that the fact that he did is going to make a huge difference. That's what I told him at the time. I give him a hug, and yeah, because for me, it was like he didn't have to say it, but he did. So I was very proud.
Taryne, the director, who I understand is a cousin of yours, Cornell Ozies, has talked about, despite making the documentary, he still has a certain amount of mistrust of police, even though his brother and I believe his stepmother have worked for Western Australian police. How about you? Because you are Indigenous yourself. Have your views since making the documentary of the police changed in any way?
Absolutely. But not that I had my relationship with police, I didn't have anyone in my family, close family, that is in the police force. I actually made a very cheeky web series earlier last year in 2010 called KGB, and I was surprised that they gave me permission to pursue our law, because that was very naughty. But really, I think what it has done more definitively is it's opened my mind to this real working scenario, and where it's Aboriginal people in positions of authority and proprietary, so in that decision making on their country or with other Aboriginal people. I advocate for that in my day to day. So for me, it's a privilege, frankly, to work with Wendy and Revis, and I've looked forward to being friends with them for a long time, because I think we have done something really special together. And you know, working on a film, you do spend time and you get close. And we're dealing with, you know, this is sensitive stuff. So we have to show a lot of respect to each other making the project, but the relationships are ongoing. So I'm hoping to have a long, wonderful relationship with the WA Police forever, because I really want now that the doors are opened to what we're talking about Indigenous police officers working with Indigenous people. It's kind of a no-brainer in my thinking. That really, you know, I think there's great room to talk more about some of the other issues that exist. So I'm hoping that we can get some series happening down the track.
And Taryne, we've seen in the last couple of weeks the really important Black Lives Matter movement bringing awareness to many relevant issues at hand. How important is this to you personally, and also the timing of the release of the documentary as well?
Well, in regards to the timing, I mean, I suppose from our point of view, we're acutely aware of the scenario with the number of deaths that have occurred over time. So really, it's a tragic way to get interest in what we're doing. But I think it's something that we're taking advantage of with the right motivations and the right intentions. So, you know, the context in America is the same in Australia, in the UK, like it exists in all around the world. Some of these issues that we're dealing with. I'm just hoping that that people can see that there are people working towards solutions and answers, and we have to talk about things. We have to start talking, because how are you going to solve problems if you're not even talking about the problems? So it's time to be vocal, with respect always, but now is the time. If we miss this opportunity, that's the real tragedy. If we don't all, and I'm talking about mainstream Australia, not Indigenous Australia, because we know what we go through, and that's, you know, I'm sure that's true for Indigenous police officers as much as Indigenous citizens. But there's such an opportune moment to rectify some of the problems that have existed, and where that's the sadness, is if we don't harness what's happening right now to fix things, you know.
Wendy, we've talked about the Black Lives Matter movement, also the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, but of course people have been quick to point out that here in Australia we have huge problems in terms of Indigenous incarceration. Also, I think there's often quoted 432 people, Indigenous people, have died in Aboriginal in custody since 1991. And also, I think only a couple of days ago, an Indigenous man in a prison in Western Australia died. And also, just down the road from me, I live in Redfern in Sydney, in Surrey Hills, a young 16-year-old Aboriginal boy was leg swiped by a police officer. What more do you think the police can do to regain the trust from our Indigenous communities?
I just think that there needs to be maybe some of these stations and that maybe need to do a bit more cultural awareness. Always, like, before you go to any, I have, whenever I've gone to a community, is I've researched it, I've found out what the language is, but I've found out the people, who the people are, what's in that little area, and all that sort of stuff. So rich, but also too, like I said, just cultural. I think that needs to be pushed. We have it at our academy, but it just needs to be pushed a bit more, I think, and Australia-wide.
And Wendy, working in the town of Warracoona, I can imagine that you're an inspiration to many young people there. Have you heard of much interest of them joining the police force in the future?
Not really, but what I have heard is some of the younger girls, they actually came to the police station and I took them on a tour, and they asked some really, really good questions, actually. They were very interested. I was shocked, actually. And they were asking, how do we become police? But sort of they wanting to finish their schooling first before anything. That's more important to them at the moment, which is great. And then once I've told them that I'll still be in touch, and that if any of them do want to go through as a recruit or a cadet, then I will lead the way and show them the path, really. So they know that this opportunity is there. I do have a lot of people that have been in touch with me, not necessarily from, but other communities that I have been, who are willing and wanting to join already. So it's just amazing.
Taryne, Wendy has previously in interviews talked about how she and her colleagues have learnt the local language. Did you or your crew learn any of the local language or customs?
You are? Yes, I did. That this language to you. We were only there for a shorter time than Wendy and Revis. Yes, that's right. See, you guys know now.
You got it. I'm learning.
Exactly. I think that, because as an Indigenous filmmaker, and I do sort of travel and work around the state, and I go over to to the East Coast, North, South, all the things. And I always try and learn something I always do. It's kind of, I think I have been since I was a small child, is that you do that out of respect, and it's about respect, but it's about wanting to connect. So, you always say, what's your word for this? This is our word. So there's always sort of an exchange that happens. Definitely, I really encourage, there's heaps of apps and things available for different parts of the country. There's lots of ways to engage before you arrive. But obviously speaking to people is the most wonderful way to learn things. So, and in my experience, Indigenous people are proud and willing and happy to share, especially when it comes to language and culture. So, if people ask nicely and wonderfully, then they might get some education.
100%. Wendy, I was interested to know what inspired you to become a police officer?
Wendy, can you hear us?
I think there's that delay again.
Taryne,
I grew up in a non-Indigenous family, and two of my foster brothers were in the force. Yeah, and I can
carry on.
Hear you. Yes. There's a shade. So I was brought up in a nice family, and I had two foster brothers who were both in the force, and I've always sort of worked with some of the liaison officers in Perth, and they pretty much said to me, you need to come and put your name down as a liaison officer. So I said, okay. So I did, and then ended up getting a position as a liaison officer with the WA Police in '99.
Wendy,
Wow.
what was the attitude from the other officers to you as an Indigenous officer?
I found it to be quite good, because what happened was they would come to us if there was any sort of disturbance, or they weren't really sure of who they were going to see, family or, you know, Indigenous families and things like that. So they would always call on us and ask us, oh, could you just give us a hand? So, you know, it wasn't negative, that relationship. It was quite good, actually.
And Taryne, I've got a quote here I'm going to read out. By learning your way and you coming out here and learning my way, we are learning two ways together. And that was from Yanangu Elder Daisy Word. I apologise if I said that wrong. That's a testament to the film you've made. Is this exactly what you were willing, what you set out to achieve?
Absolutely. I think that's what, well, Cordell and I, we've got we're Kimberley's people, so we have that sort of understanding that that's the nature of good working relationships with Indigenous people, is that you do understand and respect that there is another system that's existed there before, and it's about working together in the contemporary sense, in the modern day, and how do you navigate that. So it's about open communication, being able to feel safe and feel trust with people, and that's through this engagement that Wendy and Revis. So it seems really easy to do, but they're above and beyond the work that they do. You know, they on call all the time, the effort that they put in, and people are, you know, you can't. It's obvious that they care, because they are sort of available at all hours of the day and night. I think that is instrumental in working together, and it's the same for the film industry as well. That I work with Indigenous people and elders, and we have to sort of bring two knowledge systems or two worlds together, figure some things out, and then we make something wonderful together. But you have to sort of bring what you both have to the table, then wrangle, talk more, debate on it, and then go from there. But you have to have that meeting in the middle space. Absolutely.
Taryne, did you ever feel when you were making it, because it is very gritty, it's very real, and you really don't hold back, but do you ever feel in the early stages there could have been a danger of falling into the trap of perhaps having a very sanitized documentary about the police, a very glossy brochure type film?
Not, you know, I think that we made that as, you know, kind of clear with the traditional owners of that country, the Anangu people, and with Wendy and Revis, that we wanted, and we wanted to be as open, as raw and real as we possibly could, rather. So I think that we made that clear, that we would film what we could film, but we would always show respect, and particularly because we're dealing with you know, sensitive subject matter, that there would be that sort of room to feedback to my co-producer and I, Sam Field, and my cousin Cornell Ozzie, the director, that if there were any concerns or issues, then we would address that. In regards to sanitise, making it a puff piece for the police, I don't think that was a concern. You know, I think that we all understood that this was an opportunity to get honest as, and put it out there. You know, because we've got nothing to lose. You know, from the Indigenous filmmaker side, this is our job, is to try and work with people to get them to feel safe and comfortable, and to understand that this is a big picture sort of outlook on things. So Yeah, no, I think that we worked rather well together on things. Mm.
And
I think
Wendy,
too for Taryne, it was being honest as well out in the community and letting the people know this is what we would like to do. It's, you know, running it by the community first, you know, and it was honest. I mean, it was just Revis and I going about our business. You know what I mean? There was no staging, there was no script. It was real, you know.
and Wendy, how
And
having this two, oh, sorry, go on, Taryne.
I was just going to say in regards to, so the first thing we do as Indigenous filmmakers, of course, we engage with Wendy and Revis. We actually met them in Perth when they were here for the Reconciliation Action Plan launch. Wendy, was it the launch?
Yes.
And then, so we engaged with them then. I had actually already knew who Ms. Daisy Ward was, and I wanted to meet her for a very long time. There was another project years ago that we to do with artists and culture. So I had acute awareness who she was. But really the first thing that we do is we go and sit down with elders and with bosses of those places, and we say, this is what we want to do. What do you guys think? You know, and it's a negotiation. You know, if people they want to go a bit more that way, then we'll go a bit more that way, because we really want to show respect. That's, you know, these are senior Aboriginal people. There's no way that I will go against that, you know. So really it's figuring out how we want to navigate it together, but really it's about, for me, not being based in Warracoona, making sure that my phone number is pasted up all over town so that anyone had any questions. It's about knowing that I'm accessible, and that I haven't just come there, made something and run away. You know, if people want to call me and yarn or ask questions, they can at any time, you know. And I need that for my own peace of mind, but also for my values. You know, I value the open relationships, and I want to go back there and work again. So for me, I've got to, you know,
So do I.
I'll see you there, Wendy. But, you know, I often do want to go back and work in places. So this is the process of how to do it with respect to your project and to the people. Probably people first, actually.
Taryne, there's so much to work with in this documentary, Our Law, and there's a very poignant scene in it where two motorcyclists die in the town, and the local community helps their friends and family grieve. Everybody comes together. Have you ever thought about putting this into a television series, expanding on it?
Oh, well, funny you should ask. Sam and I are already in early stage development for TV series at the moment. So we're looking at trying to cover the state of WA, because each state or territory is under a different jurisdiction. So really it's, I mean, we can negotiate and do, you know, with other state police agencies. But at this stage for the series, we're looking at covering the whole state of WA. So a big development process at play, but really we kind of want to open up some of the talking points and some of the issues and that exist, and we want to sort of really blow it open and start yarning a bit more about across the state about the different issues from a police point of view, Indigenous police point of view, Indigenous community point of view, and maybe a mainstream community point of view. So we really want to open it up.
Can I just say something as well?
Yes, of course.
That tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, so the 10th and the 11th of June, are those riders' anniversaries. 1 year, so.
Oh, rest in peace.
Yeah. So just sort of making people aware that, and we're still in touch with the families, and you know, it's just beautiful what this is the unfortunate thing that had happened. However, we're still in touch with the families, and you know, so yeah, so it is their anniversary tomorrow and Thursday.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Wendy. That's really important that we recognise
Absolutely.
those anniversary dates. Speaking on your involvement in the community, how do you manage just the two of you in the police station? I'm very curious to know how that works.
Well, like I said, it's not. Revis and I have worked brilliantly where we work together. It's not he's the boss and I'm not, you know. It's both of us working together. And when situations come up where there might be a domestic down in the community or another community, it's like we discuss what could happen potentially because we know the people. And then we also discuss a course of action that we will take, be it giving someone a police order, removing somebody from that community, arresting them if we have to, that sort of thing. So it's just brilliant because, and I loved it because it meant that I was heard, but he was heard as well. We listened to each other and we talked to each other, and it worked brilliant.
Communication seems to be the theme here.
Yeah.
You've both been very generous with your time. I've got one more question to ask both of you. What does the future hold for you? Wendy?
Well, I'm currently in Kalgoorlie at the moment, and I'm hoping to go across to Geraldton because I want to start doing some youth policing and working with the young girls over there because I know that they're having a bit of a hard time at the moment. There is no female there for them in police-wise in the youth policing. So that's what I want to be doing. It's been great in Kalgoorlie because I've seen a lot of the people from the lands anyway. So it was like a big reunion when I got here. And they all came down for Christmas and stuff like that. So they've never really left me. And wherever I go, I know people all over now. So it's, you know, and I know people in Geraldton. So it's just going to be another big reunion, but concentrating on youth policing now. So
Taryne?
Well, Pink Pepper, which is my leg of the company, we are doing everything and anything that's indigenous. Everything from documentary, developing the Our Law series. But I've got comedy, drama, augmented reality and feature film on the go. So very busy and very privileged, you know, to be working in this space with Indigenous story and people. And I'll be doing it until probably the day I die.
And we ought to, before we go, we ought to remind everybody, all our viewers, that the film documentary has been made, Our Law, with the support of Screen West and NITV, and will be on at the Sydney Film Festival, streaming online between the 10th of June and the 21st of June, and then on Carla Grant Presents on NITV on the 22nd of June at 8:30 p.m. We really hope that people will watch it. I cannot wait to see it. The trailer's brilliant. Chatting to you, Wendy, chatting to you, Taryne, has been an honour, and we wish you, all the team here at InView TV, the best of luck with the documentary. Thank you so much for your time. It's been an honour.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, take care.
Wow, Belinda, what a show. There's so much to talk about there and discuss.
It was absolutely incredible to speak to these two amazing ladies. Taryne making this film and Senior Constable Wendy Kelly being out there in the field. What an incredible show we've had today.
And of course, as we said, it's been an honour to have the producer Taryne Laffar and also Senior Constable Wendy Kelly here on At Home on InView TV. Now, it was a special edition today, but we are back with our regular slot tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Australia, when we'll be interviewing Albert Kruger and Kate Wickett from Sydney Mardi Gras, and also World Pride. And Bruce is just there, right at the bottom of the screen. How are you going, Bruce?
Yeah, good. Just want to say, William, I believe I heard we may have had a bit of an issue with Facebook in the first couple of minutes. May have missed the trailer, so I'm going to close the show with a trailer for anyone that may have missed it on Facebook. It's definitely out there on YouTube, but just in case, we're going to show it again as we close the show.
Before you do that, Bruce, from me, William Broom in Sydney.
And from me, Belinda, Joe on the Gold Coast.
And of course, Bruce Mott in North Sydney. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow here on At Home on InView TV at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Warrakirna is the only police station run by indigenous officers. Has she been to the clinic? Alright, she needs to go to the clinic and get checked out, and they can do a report for us too. I don't think you can police effectively if at least you don't try to learn languages where you are. So Jilku is child. So Jilku Nintila is give me the child.
Oh, we don't take any children. Not today.
We got a call saying that there'd been a fella that had come off his motorbike about 20 odd k's down the road.
Warrakirna Fish, Revis speaking. Did a young mum go to the school and she left her little child and walked off. She might be walking around the community somewhere.
She had that blue shirt, t-shirt on, isn't it?
Yeah, and grey track pants. Oh, what are we going to do with this baby?
Aches and pains.
Aches and pains, and that's what it's for.
In language, what is this called?
Yirmanga, Yirmanga.
Yilmanga, Yilmanga.
You wow.
I need to learn the culture, learn the respect, learn the language.
So, by learning your ways and you coming out here and learning my way,
Yes.
it's like we learning two ways
Yes,
together.
together.